Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gimme 5. As New York City and the nation was getting ready to lay to rest the second of the two New York City police officers assassinated 3 weeks ago in cold blood by a cold-blooded assassin who tweeted out and texted out his intentions prior to killing those two officers, made it very clear through his social media what he intended to do, why he intended to do it. He's going to put wings on pigs, etc. Drove from Baltimore to New York, did what he said he would do. But the New York Times presents this full-length feature story about how this poor man, nothing went right in his life ever since he was a little boy. Yes, Mal, your heart's supposed to bleed for this cold-blooded scum. Let's look at some of what they had to write in the New York Times. His entire life, Ishmael Brinsley, they left out Abdullah, his middle name, tried on identities as if they were new clothes. He was a bad boy with a gun, a fashionable man in a Gucci and Cartier, a t-shirt maker, a film director, a screenwriter, a devout Muslim, a rap producer. He had a nickname for every mood: Moses, Interstate, Palace, Gazava, Scorpio King, Blue Barracuda. Online, he seemed to be screaming at people to pay attention. "Welcome to greatness," proclaimed a photo album on his Facebook page. In reality, Mr. Brinsley's short life was a series of disappointments. Doesn't that break your you-know-what heart, folks? Here's more. Let's go to the next one. Let's go there. He was the difficult teenager who was passed around from home to home. The adult who could make nothing work, not a t-shirt company, not even an attempt on his own life at a former girlfriend's house. Everyone seemed to betray him. The friends who pistol-whipped and robbed him in May. The girlfriend who dumped him around Thanksgiving. And by the way, that's a heart-tugger, isn't it? Poor guy got dumped at Thanksgiving, so he shoots some cops. It's to be expected, says the New York Times, in my view. In recent weeks, Mr. Brinsley was unraveling, increasingly desperate. The gap between the life he wanted at age 28, and the life he had looming even larger. If he couldn't get it together, he told the mother of his second child in early December, he would kill himself. Too darn bad he didn't succeed in killing himself. But the New York Times sob story continues. Let's look, shall we? But the truth of Mr. Brinsley's short life and violent end is probably less political and more accidental than initially portrayed. Friends and his mother said he was no ardent anti-police activist. Come on, as some of his friends were. No, he was nursing no grudge against the police in Brooklyn. No, he was no stone-cold criminal. So what? His 20 arrests? That's 20 arrests. They were mostly for minor crimes, even though they prevented him again and again from getting a job, which is unjust. Believe me, the New York Times is saying that's unjust. But there's more of this poor man's story who went on to kill two New York City police officers in cold blood, not because he hated cops, not because he's a criminal. No, he just had a messed up life. He couldn't get a break. He struggled with depression, but had no history of hallucinations or other forms of psychosis, unlike his oldest brother, who battled schizophrenia. Oh, his version of Islam seemed more jumbled than jihadi. Really? Instead, Mr. Brinsley seemed to be a grandstander at the end of his tether, homeless, jobless, and hopeless. The poor guy. You know, now what's the natural thing to do when you're living like that? You go kill two cops. Right? You would do it. I would do it. It's only natural he did it. We have another one? Because I'm getting a kick out of this. Here's the last one, I believe. Is this the last one? No. Okay. Ultimately, for us it might be. Ultimately, that is perhaps the most coherent explanation. Another wrong turn after a lifetime of them. One that led down a cul-de-sac where in the end, Mr. Brinsley saw no way out. He decided to take two officers with him, almost as an afterthought. A final attempt to gain the kind of notoriety he had always craved. An afterthought? He went from Baltimore to New York to do it. He told everybody he was going to do it. Here they write, he posted his attentions on Instagram. Pay attention to me, he seemed to shout, even telling two young men he met in Bedford-Stuyvesant to follow him on Instagram and to watch what he did next, just before he shot two strangers. No, he knew who he was shooting. He planned it. He was an anti-cop bigot, and he was worse than that. Some say he followed a jihad, a fatwa put out on cops. This is disgusting from the New York Times.